Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Lighthouse Sessions. And today I'm excited. I have Laura Cross here with me. Laura, why don't you tell my audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Okay. Well, I am an Air Force veteran and an entrepreneur, solopreneur, I should say. And everything I do is in the holistic, judgment-free space. I got started I got started down that when I had lost my husband over 20 years ago. He died when he was 36. So I am a travel agent and I got certified in that. But once COVID scared the snot out of everybody for traveling, I realized the reason I wanted people to travel was to take better care of themselves. So I morphed more over to white sand self-care, and I started learning about all the different holistic things that I can do, and in that I can help people. So from there, it just kind of kept growing and branching, and I launched Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross TV show because I didn't want people to feel like they were alone or struggling by themselves. So I love having people on that went through challenges where they can share their challenges and how they help support others. So yeah, I do a number of things. It's all in the holistic health and welfare space. I enjoy being the resource for education, connections, and collaborations and connecting people. So although I could coach, I do not coach. I just like connecting people, and I help people where they are and meet people where they're at.
I love that. Now, how does one go from Air Force to entrepreneur?
Well, that was a little bit, I've always kind of, I guess, had a little bit of that. You always done like the side jobs because we always knew there was things different. So I had tried different things while we were moving around, because when you are an entrepreneur, depending on what you're doing, most of it you can take with you wherever you go. So sometimes you still have to restart and everything. But for me, it was about being able to do things on my own schedule, my own time. Because within losing my husband after 13 months, that I was in 4 different hospitals, 3 funerals, I had enough. I wanted to be there for my friends and family. I didn't want to have to answer to somebody. And but that took time, that took time to grow and learn. So I always still had, was working a job for a lot of it until I just said, you know what, I can do this, and this is enough. Instead of doing backbreaking things. I can always do backbreaking things. I prefer not to.
Yeah, let's use the mind for a bit and spare the back, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because in my world, I'm reconnecting with people on LinkedIn, and my goal is to have real connections. And if we're not a good fit, then we don't need to be connected. But one question I wanted to ask was about the travel industry, and then we'll talk about the wellness. But
okay.
I think, and I'm going to politely correct you on something. I heard you say I'm an entrepreneur, and then you backpedaled and said I'm a solopreneur. I'm just going to give you this gift, Laura, that an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. We don't need that little solo label. How is the travel industry today? And is I see ads in my neighborhood all the time. People are, we're travel agents. And I'm like, that's still a thing. And again, I'm not judging what you do, but I feel like the last time I used a human to book a flight was somewhere around 2003, 2004.
Yeah. So I have a variety of things. I have a travel savings website where people can create their own free account, and it saves them up to 60% on hotels. And it's a win-win. I earn what they save. So I love those scenarios. The travel is still going strong. There are still people that either they just don't want to, they're not comfortable with it, but they prefer somebody else to do it. And I'm connected to every vendor out there. So yes, I can do it. Generally, we don't necessarily spend time doing just flights because flights stopped paying commissions like years ago.
Probably in 2003 or 4.
Yeah, early 2000s, when all the brick and mortar started going away and everything started shifting online. But you still get people that need the information or the connections, or they just flat out don't have time to be on the phone for hours talking to this and that, because a lot of people do things online, but a lot of people want more details. So you still have the whole variety, but people are still traveling. That has definitely picked back up since, the whole COVID thing. And some people never stopped traveling. It just depended on your view and your perception of things.
Yeah. I love that. And I think, again, I'm not making light of the travel industry, because there are trips where I just need a cheap flight. And
Mhm.
then there are trips where it's like, God help me if something goes wrong. I want somebody, because I've booked through the discount places, and then something goes wrong and you're stuck, stranded somewhere. And it's like, oh, God help you. You're on your own.
Yeah, if you didn't know to look into the insurance or read your insurance to see what it covers, because just because it might have the same name doesn't mean it covers all the same things. That's stuff you've got to know. And and then there's always the little, the tips and tricks of, if you're going to book a flight, book on a Monday or Tuesday. Don't book later in the week or on the weekend, because that same seat will cost you a lot more. Doesn't matter when you fly, it matters when you book.
Yeah.
But there's always those different little nuances and stuff, and some people discover them on their own, and other people, like I said, sometimes they're just busy and they just can't be bothered to do that, and they want someone else to do it still.
I love it. Now, I want to talk about your transition. So a couple of things are coming to mind, and the aha moment, and I'm going to share this. Entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs, and a lot of people say, well, I'm not really an entrepreneur because I work in this or I do this. I see entrepreneurs everywhere, and they're in academics, they're in research, I think the thing about entrepreneurs is, and this is the defining feature I'm seeing, is they always have a side hustle that might become their next business. So how did what was the writing on the wall? And we'll talk about, I assume, mostly COVID driven, that led you to get into more of the wellness. And then, how did the TV show come up in your world?
So when I used to live in Colorado, I had belonged to a huge group that was nothing but holistic health and wellness. And it was about how to build business, and kind of like to bring yourself to the next level. And I did join them as their travel person. And then even with all the COVID stuff that was coming out, I was trying to do my Wednesday travel talks and still keep, but even the travel industry was bickering back and forth of how, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even have the energy or the space for that. I've never stopped. I love it, but I just could not drown myself in that.
Yeah.
I personally was over it before it started, but hey, everybody has to do what they're comfortable with. And when I started looking at all the different holistic things, and I realized the reason I want people to travel is to take better care of themselves. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, blue collar, white collar, military, whatever. We all keep getting caught up in one rat race or another, and we stop doing the things we love, and we stop taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
I was always one of those givers. I'm very heart-centered, still am, but I was always one of those givers and people pleasers. I've learned, for one, not to worry about the people pleasing, but you cannot give and support people unless you take care of yourself, if you don't put yourself first. And going through business coaches, which is where that solopreneur came from, because they're like, well, you can't say you help everybody. No, I got that, and you needed to have a niche. Okay. All right. So I'm a solopreneur. I can relate to that. I can relate to really well to people that are doing everything themselves, or maybe have one or two people. Not that it doesn't fit people that have big companies, but they also always teach you to have multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
Because when you get hit in one environment or one way, the things that are good for people, like gym member, well, I don't even necessarily need gym membership, but just for an example, if you paying money for a gym membership in this because you're trying to do this and be fit, when money gets tight, that's one of the first things that goes, and people start cutting back. So you have to have, if you're going to stay afloat, you have to have different avenues. But for me, it has to all align, and it has to all come together. So anything that I'm involved with is all holistic health for people, one way or another.
I love it. And for that, I will say, and yes, I get that there is a different world out there with solopreneurs, but I am seeing bigger and bigger companies where it is still solopreneur. And
Right.
I think I'm going to be really blunt. If people aren't taking care of themselves, they're not ever going to be successful truly, because, and I've been there, done that. We try to work ourselves to death. We get sick, we fall over, and then we start over. And it's like, what if we just avoided burnout altogether?
Right. Yeah. It's about creating those boundaries and setting boundaries and sticking to them. I don't know how many people went through this, but when I first started being an entrepreneur, and you want so badly to make everything go, so you like can get rid of the job or whatever you're trying to change, that as soon as someone emails you or calls, it's like, oh my God, I have to answer. You don't. I mean, think about it. When you go to the stores or the restaurants, they're open certain hours. That's it. You miss it, you're going to be waiting to the next day. And you need to hold that same space and respect for yourself, so that you're not damaging that family time or that valuable time that you're working so hard to keep. But a lot of people get so caught up that it cuts into their family time. And then sometimes their family situations don't turn out how they want it to be because it's too much stress. The person's never there. They're not present with them. And it can be, you can just wind up spiraling down instead of, creating what you wanted to create.
Well, and it's cliche, but I like to say we are human beings, not human doings. And I think I see this a lot. And that's, when I reached out to you, I was hoping we'd have this conversation. I'm guilty. I'm a workaholic. I am proud of it because it's part of who I am. But I also recognize, and this is where I'm starting to bring people together and say, if we don't have self-care, we're doomed. I mean, it's well and good to, I personally am turning my back on this whole hustle culture because I genuinely don't believe, number one, it's not good for my clients, but above all, it's not good for me or my family.
Right. And it will also show through when you're talking to those clients. When you're so frazzled and you're trying to shuffle so many plates and you're not focused, you're not really being present with your client. You may think you're pulling it together, smiling and doing this, but it's the vibrations, it's the frequencies, and people that are very in tune to those frequencies, they can tell that about you. It may not be what you said. It's just something bound that just says, nope, this isn't the person that I want to work with. So you really can be shooting yourself in the foot by doing that. And like I said, I don't judge people. My space is judgment free. I have met some high functioning people that they just don't know how they would function if they did not do that. Some people think my schedule is exhausting. I listen to other people. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, if that works for you, it's not my place to say whether it works or not, but you really need to create that space and check in with yourself. How are you feeling? Are you celebrating your little wins? Are you beating yourself up every day about, oh my God, I didn't do this, I didn't do that? It's like you have to check in with yourself and kind of really be honest with how it's making you feel and take a look at it.
I love it. So tell me about the wellness side, and then I want to talk about the TV show because I find that fascinating. Again, what I love about my podcast is I get to talk to people like you who have all these seemingly random, because people say that to me all the time. It's like, Jeff, I can't keep up with you. You're all over the place. I was like, trust me, there's a theme in here. Mm-hmm. It's just not your job to follow everything I do to make sure you know the theme. So what exactly are you doing? Who are you working with in wellness? And how does somebody know I need to talk to Laura today?
So it kind of got entwined. I've always belonged to a few other companies that have health and wellness, like from wearable technology. I have a Healy. I have different things, stuff that I know that has worked for our health and to help ours. After losing my husband, my fiance being a type 2 diabetic, lost his second toe when we were here. It took me a couple of years, but I got him off metformin. I am down to just him being on one medication right now. And we've got his blood sugars where they're supposed to be down to 6.3. I lost everything once. I don't want to lose that, again. And as long as the people are willing to make changes, then I can help change them. And one of the guests that I had on my show, Dr. Grant, I wound up teaming up with him in November. He's integrative medicine, functional medicine, lifestyle medicine, 3 doctorates. And I learned about this AO voice scan. So that is like my biggest thing right now. Just because we are all vibration and energy and frequency. Like I said, when you are speaking to someone, you are emitting that, whether you realize it or not. And stuck emotions, past traumas, not feeling good, that all plays a part in your health, and it's stuck in frequencies that's in you. Yeah. And I love it because within 10 seconds, it's like a check engine light for a person's body. It can tell, I kid you not, I can tell people what food has caused inflammation for them, what their body's not liking, if they have high cholesterol, are they pre-diabetic. It'll give you images that are MRI-like, show you exactly in your body where there's still an issue. It kicks out pages and pages of reports, and a lot of it's overwhelming for people, but they're like, how on earth does that do that off your voice? I'm like, and it's damn accurate. I will tell you, it is accurate. I believe in doing everything as healthy as possible. But even when I went to color my hair and the henna thing wasn't working, and I went back to a L'Oreal one, next day I did a scan. Oh yeah, hair toxin, hair product toxin. It shows up. I mean, it was like, and it's from your voice.
Yeah.
So it's been a great tool for me to be able to help people identify that. And then I can recommend supplements from them for a company that I know is 95 to 98% absorbency, that I know we can help get results from. It's up to them whether they want to follow it or not, but at least they have information that they probably didn't have before.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, my world, people I deal with, talk to on a regular basis, they're deeply curious about everything. And I have a lot of people around me, myself included, we're looking at, and I'll admit to being the guy who ignored health. And it was like, yeah, whatever. Again, I've shared this before, but my doctor was like, Jeff, you're pre-diabetic. You should look at this. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then one day, oh shit, I'm diabetic. And I promise nobody wants to be diabetic. It is not, of all the ailments and disorders, it triggers so many other ones. And it's like, it'd be nice if I would have been careful enough to avoid it in the first place. But of course, now that I know there's more to life, I'm working on mindset first.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people, once you get that mindset thing sorted, I find a lot of health issues start to reverse anyways. And again, I'm not making medical claims. It's just, for me personally, little things like meditation and breath work actually help my blood sugar. I can't explain it. Don't want to explain it. But it's I think so. I want to hear more about the analyzing the voice, because I'm now in a world with people, they're spending tens of thousands of dollars on deep body scans and DNA tests and things like that. I'm reminded when I was a younger person, I went to a practitioner and she had me hold two magnetic things in each hand, and I can't remember what it was called, but she tested the magnetic or the energy flow in my body. Right. And she more accurately diagnosed allergies than traditional. I had 200 needle pokes in my arm, and I'm like, you poke me one more time, I'm going to hate you and possibly hit you.
Yeah.
So I like the energy side of things better, because anything where I'm poked more than once is too many times for me. So.
Well, and here's some differences. Yeah, because I had all those allergy tests. As a matter of fact, when I was in the military, because of my allergies, they used to give me allergy injections. So I used to get one in each arm like twice a week. I never got out of maintenance mode, but I will tell you I had trouble with bursitis because it pretty much made cement blocks in my arms. Yeah. And then when I got back to Colorado, they said, oh, well, you're multiply reactive to all northern grasses, mold, spores, and dust. And yeah, so pretty much the outside world. So people ask me what I'm allergic to. Stupidity in the outside world is what I'm allergic to. I don't keep it from going things, because I don't know if people realize, but when they're injecting you with allergy shots, they're injecting you with what you're allergic to.
Yeah.
Really, you can just subject yourself to it and build an immune system up to it. But the
swelling and inflammation, right?
Oh yeah. Or the different reactions of like all of a sudden half your face is swollen because of this. And I'm like, or I go in and it's like, hey, this is a little pink. Next thing I know, they're shoving an IV in me. I felt fine, but I got an IV going in me. And I was like, okay. I've been through that. I've been through all the painkillers, the muscle relaxers. Like when I had the bulge disc, I don't do any of that anymore. I haven't done it for years. I can fix things either with massage, chiropractor. If I had to go to acupuncture, I could, but actually with the voice scan, being able to run frequencies and imprint things, believe me or not, that's a thing too. You can actually imprint your water objects and you can change their frequency. It can change the frequency when you drink it. It's hard for people to wrap their head around. It's a combination of Rife frequencies and like Nikola Tesla, you know, when he did the whole Tesla coil where he showed you have energy and there's no wire and these things light up. So it's putting that together. And what it does is it's a snapshot of your body in that moment in time. It's no different than a blood test because your blood's constantly racing in you. So everything's constantly changing. The difference is, and it's 98% even more accurate than your blood test, because when they're drawing blood from you, your blood's actually getting exposed to oxygen. So it's already changing the state of your blood before they test it.
Well, and to be honest, I'm seeing this. A lot of people are anxious at the lab. So
oh yeah, you can go into the white coat syndrome, why their blood pressure goes up. Most people do not have high blood pressure. It is called white coat syndrome. They don't like being there. They get anxious. And next thing they know, they want to throw you on medicine for that. And I'm not saying medicine doesn't have its place. And I, not making medical claims, I can tell you from my experience and my fiance's and what we've done. When we first found out he was diabetic, he was at 12.3 for an A1C and was over 300 in the numbers. And everybody said he should have been in a diabetic coma in the hospital. And he's like, I'm just tired and hungry, you know. So had to stop all the Mountain Dews for one, but it's not just, you know, sugar, it's the simple carbs that throw people. And the more I've learned about clean eating, a lot of it has to do with the stuff that is in our food that we accept that other countries don't accept. You know, there's you can really go down a whole conversation about that, but your deep breathing, and we call it belly breathing, you can call it yoga breathing. And whenever we do the scans for people, we always recommend to take time to do at least 5 to 10 deep belly breaths. Because when someone tells you to take a deep breath, you normally see people's chest try to expand. This is all bone and ribs. Your lungs can't expand past that. So if you breathe in through your nose and you blow your stomach out like a balloon and then out through your mouth, that actually helps the oxygen go from head to toe. You fill your lungs, it goes head to toe. And if people would do that, because 95% of people are walking around with hypoxia because there's not enough oxygen to their brain, their veins, their arteries. You need that oxygen to help your body to function and to be healthy. So that's another reason why you would feel better. But it could help people from not, you know, having dementia, snoring, the sleep apnea, because they're getting that because they don't have the oxygen going to their brain. So, but yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I for years breathed wrong, and then it was like, oh, you mean I don't breathe from, you know, here up?
Yeah. Well, doctors, right? They always got the pad on there and they tell you take a deep breath. So,
Yeah.
you know, you're trying to do this number, but when you do that, you're only filling the top part of your lungs. You're really not filling the whole thing.
Yeah, I learned a breathing technique, and there's a ton of them. Box breathing works well for me. The one I use, it's called vagal breathing, which is, I think it's the same. You're breathing from the diaphragm. It's there's a very specific, but I find it fascinating that just changing how I breathe, drastic impact on my health in a good way.
Right. Is that the one when you breathe out, you almost kind of hum or do some kind of a tune? Because they have that too.
You can. The one I was taught, the key is, I'll put numbers to it, and you know, you breathe in for a count of 4, you hold for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 6, and then you hold that until your body says, breathe, you idiot. And that actually triggers, it calms your nervous system.
Yeah.
So technically, I usually count to 4 or something at the bottom, but you let it be long enough that your body goes, and that helps me. Again, not for everybody, but it really, you know, I wake up in the night and sometimes active brain, I can't get back to sleep. I do 10 of those and I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's different things with tapping. Like if you tap right there, that helps do the, you know, for the melatonin to help you sleep. Yeah. It just depends. I learn from people all over the world because I connect with people all over the world. So I have learned more from a lot of different intuitive energy healers. There's just so many things out there. I always tell people, if you're open-minded and you're just ready for a change and you can be open-minded, who knows what's going to work for you? Yeah. You know, but like you said, there's many different breathing techniques, and, you know, that particular one may not be good for someone else, but that doesn't mean there's not one or something else out there. We really have a lot of options. So,
And
Yeah.
that's what I tell people all the time. Anybody who says this is the way, it's like, no, no, no. You need to finish that sentence and say, this is the way that works for me. And then, oh no, it works for everyone. No, it doesn't. I have a friend who advocates for cold plunging, and he's quick to say it works better for men than women.
Hmm.
And for women, it's hot, saunas, showers, things like that, that triggers the same effect that a cold plunge in a man does. And it's like, at the very least, you need to ask, are there gender or age differences? But also, I'm neurodiverse, so different things calm my brain down than what might calm down other people's brains.
Yeah. See, now I know a lady that does water healing, and she will teach you about how we are water and how you can connect with the water molecules. And yes, she is always near a lake or a river, and she don't matter. She will go in and she'll teach you how you don't worry about the cold if you don't focus your mind on it. And but yeah, there's different things. So I don't like stereotyping. I don't like putting people in a box. My whole thing is I want people to just be treated like a decent human being. And so the people that I have connected with through the show, all of them, even if they are coaches and stuff, they don't have like some set stuff that they do. There's tools in their toolbox,
Yep.
but they are people that work with who is coming to them. Because to me, it's one size fits none. There is no one size fits all. Don't try to cram me in a box. I'm not an in the box person. I've been down that road, even with business mentors and everything. I thought, oh, you don't reinvent the wheel. I got to follow what they're saying. No, I don't, because then I lose who I am. And when you're not who you are, then that doesn't come through, and then you're just struggling to still be, successful anyway. I always tell people, take bits and pieces, figure out what fits and works for you, but make it your own. So yeah, I really appreciate the people that are saying, hey, if they talk to you and they meet with you and okay, they know you're not going to be a good fit, they don't take your money, they just will recommend you to someone else, other than the ones that'll just say, oh, here, give me the money, we'll make it work, you'll have these results. And then if you don't, it's like, well, that was on you, it wasn't on me.
I don't like those people.
I don't do well with those anymore. And it's like, man, no, it's not about that. For me, it's about helping people live healthier and happier. And if it's not with me, then I probably know somebody that I can connect them with that can help them.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm a ghostwriter, and I'm very picky who I take on, because I'm going to have somebody else's voice in my head for a few months. I want it to be a voice I want to hear. And I know other people are like, oh yeah, I can write anything. And I used to try to be that, but then it was like, oh God, these are exhausting. But it was fascinating when I meet these other ghostwriters who say, oh, I can do anything. All of their stuff sounds like them, not like the person they're writing for. I'm like, again, it's not, I love that one size fits none. And my observation is, when people try to put me inside a box, I see it as a coffin, because that's where, when you stop thinking, you start dying.
Yeah. Yeah, I have people that's like, so what are you? Are you a coach? Are you this? And I said, I am the entrepreneur of me. That's all I can tell you. That is me. I'm not a box person.
Yeah.
I have options. I have, stuff. And if something that I have works for somebody, great. Like I said, if not, I'm happy to connect you.
Yeah.
I love being able to connect people, because they're still trying to do something to change their situation, their life, their health. And people should be happy. You shouldn't be going through this miserable state, just doing it to make ends meet. And, it's kind of the thing. Are you working to live? Are you living to work? Which side are you?
I love that. And I think one of the things I find is there's an inherent scarcity mindset in those people who are, oh yeah, I need to take your money, otherwise I'm going to starve. And my favorite people, and this is just something I've observed, in the visionary space, they're so generous with their time, because they know somebody gave them a hand or helped them or pointed them in the right direction. I will do that all day long. And, technically I get paid for networking. People pay me, but I also do it just because sometimes it's the right thing to do. And to me, that's why I started the podcast. I wanted to be able to connect more people without me being the bottleneck. And again, I'm terrible at self-care. I'm learning. I will share my secret, Laura, and for what it's serves. I created a spreadsheet that reminds me, here are the things I need to do for work today. Here are the things I need to do for Jeff today. And I have on my phone, I've had to set alarms to remind me to. I'm very hyper focused with autism and ADHD. I need to set an alarm to eat lunch. And my wife thinks I'm being weird, and I'm like, no, I don't think of that.
Right. No, that's just a system that works for you.
Yeah. So I built the system, and I think that's what fascinates me about entrepreneurs is we'll build the systems that work for us. And other people say, well, what are you doing? And it's like, well, I'm doing this because it works for me. And then other people are like, oh, teach me, I'll try it too. And it's like, no, I don't think it'll work for you.
Right.
Because unless your brain is exactly wired exactly like mine, not going to work.
That's the other reason why I tried to eliminate the word understand out of my vocabulary, because I told people, I said, I can relate,
Yep.
but I'm not you. I'm not in your skin. So I don't have your experiences, your history. So I can't necessarily say I understand. I can relate. If I've gone through something similar, doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to understand, or, we'll try to gain more understanding, but I won't fully understand because I'm not you.
Yeah. And I think that's everybody wants to be heard, and they say they want to be understood, but sometimes it's just you need to be listened to. And I'm a big fan now of telling people you need to advocate for yourself. If somebody is telling you this is the one thing you need to do, it'll save you, solve all your problems. You need to ask, how does this feel?
Right.
How does this fit? Because anytime something doesn't fit, I'm a stubborn, petulant child, and I might take advice today, but tomorrow I'm going to be like, I'm not having any of this. So pick the advice that fits.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if people are that pushy with it, they're not my people. I'm just like, no, that's just extra noise that I don't need. When they're forcing you to, help is one thing, guidance is another, but at the end of the day, you have to listen to how you feel, your own intuition, your own gut feeling, whatever you want to call it. If you're doing stuff and then as soon as you say like yes to something, you're instantly telling yourself, God, why did I do that? Then you should have said no. And no is a complete sentence. No one needs an explanation. You don't owe anyone any explanation.
For what it's worth, again, neurodiverse. I realized that November literally has the word no at the beginning. So I now spell it N-O apostrophe or hyphen, whatever you want to call it, Vember. And I use November as my cleanup month. It works for me. Again, not everybody will get the result, but I will say yes to things that I probably shouldn't. Yes to things that, to be honest, they make me curious in the moment. I go, oh yeah. And then the next day it's like, ugh. And what I love about November is I just clear out all of those obligations. And, it was funny because one of the things I did in November last year was I broke up with all of the algorithms that were telling me what to think about. So I removed all of the algorithm apps from my phone. I removed all social media from my phone. I unsubscribed. I closed all my accounts. The only social media I actively use now are LinkedIn and I'm going to say YouTube, but I don't use it the way most people do.
Right.
I use it to connect people and I use it to host my podcast. But I have zero notifications. And it was fascinating. I'll just share this. In December, the LinkedIn algorithm went crazy because before I broke up with the algorithm, I unsubscribed, unfollowed. I removed everybody who I didn't know personally.
Right.
And my feed would populate instantly. It was like, oh, here, look at this, look at this, look at this. Mine would spin out of control and I'd get this little wheel and my screen would go blank for about a minute while it looked for things to give me. And it was fascinating watching the algorithm try to pull me back in because it was like, oh, how about this? And so I was messing with it. I hated everything. I gave it the downvote. But, it's that conscious thinking about where my attention is.
Yeah. See, and I use them. I can shut them off though. It's like if I go on vacation and stuff, I might top into Messenger just to share a picture or something. But other than that, I am not answering messages. I'm down, I'm out. That's it. So it won't interfere, with my time. I haven't always set up the whole out of office reply, for the email or anything. But hey, I just hit delete if I have to answer something, fine. But other than that, I'm on enough to kind of keep up, but I wouldn't necessarily be able to keep up with everybody. And so, there's always a fine line with all of that. Some people just cannot stop scrolling or living on it. And it's like, no, I make connections on it. That's how I grow the business and grow connections and stuff. But I'm also careful of who I do let in that circle. If there's people without even a profile picture, or the ones that still want to use Facebook as a dating book app, I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. Or they want to intrude in a story from like 10 years ago. I'm like, no, just delete, block. People just think, oh my God, it's like, you have control. You can delete, block, unfriend, unfollow. You do have some control over that. Some people just go off the rails where I just gotta shut it down. I haven't. I'm like, okay. Well, if people are all wrapped up constantly in politics or this, and it's all blah blah negative stuff, I'm not going to friend them. I don't need that. I believe in controlling what you can control. I stay in my happy place. When it's time for me to vote and do something, great. If not, it is what it is. I'm not going to get all stressed and upset about it, because there's nothing I can do about it anyway.
Well, and there's no way you're going to change somebody else's mind. So why are we feeding the trolls, hanging out with them? And the weird thing that ultimately came out of me shutting down the algorithm, I tell LinkedIn what I want to see, what I want to think about today. And the really cool part was all of the people that I cared about that the algorithm didn't deem as relevant to me and was hiding. All of a sudden it was like, oh, hey, there's so-and-so. And, it's funny because I reached out to you and then this morning, I think one of your posts came up, and, it's clear the algorithm is listening and is aware, but
they always are.
But the aha moment for me was, again, I have an addictive nature because of my personality and my brain. But for me, I'd rather focus on, 100 good relationships than, people chasing thousands. It explodes at that thought even.
Yeah, I have them coming out of the woodwork to help build my SEO for my YouTube channel. I'm like, my viewers watch through e360tv.com. I got over 18,000 monthly viewers. YouTube, I'm growing organically. I am not about to have someone blow it up in some certain country where YouTube's algorithm says, oh, it's only relevant here. It's not relevant somewhere else. Because I've worked hard to build that on my own. So I build it organically. And, it's like, some of them may be legit, but from what I've learned from other people, most of them are basically scams. And it's like, I was like, no, I need to protect that. But
the irony, I get a lot of people who are claiming to be great outreach. They're going to generate inbound leads, and yet they reach out to me with a cold email, cold DM. And I'm like, if you're as good as you say at what you do, if you're as good at what you do as you say, why am I not reaching out begging to work with you versus you reaching out to me begging me to listen to your thing or click on your link? And honestly, that was the big. So I'll just give you this, Laura. I downvote, whatever platform I'm on, which again is mostly LinkedIn. I'll click the button that says, don't show me stuff like this again. My triggers are anybody who wants to show me how they got 10,000 followers on LinkedIn in an hour, just comment below and I'll send it to you. I complain, I delete, I block, and I complain. I don't see that stuff anymore, but I don't want to see it. So I control what I can control. Now, you mentioned that people can see you on your platform. So how can somebody learn more about your TV show?
So it is if you go to YouTube, it is at Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross on YouTube. I did launch into my own TV channel April 1st. So if you are on E360 TV, they've just upgraded. So it's kind of cool, like Netflix. You could just dial up the person, the group. I'm on Ari on TV Network with that. So I used to be part of Voyage to Vitality for the first year, more than a year and a half, but I've just now launched out April 1st. So Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross is its own TV channel as well now. And so from there, it streams through Roku, Amazon Fire, a whole ton of different platforms. I personally stream it through E360, which it goes to those platforms, and LinkedIn, and on my Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross YouTube channel.
Awesome. So, and I know you're active-ish. You're at least active enough on LinkedIn that you respond quicker than I do. So I know you're active on LinkedIn. I'll put your link in there. And I believe you also have a website, whitesandsselfcare.com. Is that correct?
Yep, that's still a good way to get a hold of me. And then most of the information is still up to date. I might need to tweak a few things, but again, I am a solopreneur and I am the one that built that website. So I have enough things going. So that's low on my totem pole for, fixing. But when I get to the point where I can start hiring a VA or something else, I'll do that. But right now, my priority is people and helping people. And so if I don't have time and I don't get to the website, well, then that's it. But there's links that still go to me. My information is still accurate. So
I love it. And I say to people, how many other places do you need to find me? If and my audience is on LinkedIn, so I'm going to send them directly to you. And I'm going to give a tiny little advice I got from a YouTube person. So if you want to go find Laura on YouTube, search in your Google search, do Laura a favor and search Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross. Don't go straight to @Mindful Monday, because the algorithm actually downshifts her content, because it looks like she's farming links and sending, people shouldn't know to go straight to it. So my little advice to my listeners is go into your Google search and say Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross on YouTube. It'll give Laura a little bit of love from the algorithm. Again, I don't love algorithms, but we might as well play their game sometimes.
They're always changing too.
Yeah, but I do know for a fact, if you search for her and find her that way, the algorithm goes, oh, we should pay attention to this person. So
yeah, and if they're going to do that, I will say it's important to put with Laura Cross, because I believe there's another Mindful Mondays there. It's a kind of a common term. I know there's a mindfulmondays.com that follows me like on Instagram, because since I post stuff on Facebook and Facebook owns Instagram, they go up there, plus E360, my shorts go up on there too. I've had people that have wanted me to get into TikTok. Everything else is like, I just cannot handle any more platforms. I used to know how to use Instagram. I'm kind of relearning it. I get messages. I'm like, okay, where is that now? Now I'm trying to find my messages on that. So sometimes those responses are a little delayed, but
yeah. We're entrepreneurs. We have big things to do in the world to change it. Now, Laura, my favorite question, because I never know the answer, is is there anything I should have asked you about that we haven't talked about yet?
I have never even been asked that.
It's not a trick question, I promise. Sometimes the answer is no, I think we covered everything. Usually it's, oh yeah, I was going to tell you about this. So,
well, yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. Just know my show. I love doing that show. I have guests on from all over the world. So it's not just here. I have people on from Australia, from the Netherlands, Germany. I've got customers and clients. I am a global international person. And like I said, it is meant to be a holistic, judgment-free space. So if you're not into intuitives, and I have an intuitive on, don't watch that episode, but I have other people. We cover everything from business to personal, emotional, spiritual, whatever, because if you're off in one area of your life, you are off. So for me, self-care and mindfulness goes across all of it. And I am zero competitive. If you haven't figured that out, I don't believe in SWOT analysis. People are like, oh, you need a SWOT analysis. No, I don't. I'm all about collaboration. So, I could have 1,000 self-care coaches on there, wouldn't matter. We're all trying to help people get to a better place, but we all have different ways of doing it, or different personalities. I want people to be able to resonate with who they can resonate with and connect with them. So for me, everything's a collaboration one way or another. It's not a competition. So even my White Sands Self-Care Community group on Facebook, I encourage people to join it. Share who you are, what you do. If you have events, master classes, put them up there. This is my group. You can't do that. Yeah. It's meant for resources. I just ask you not to be sleazy and salesy, like, oh, are you looking for another 500 this month? We're all business people, but if you're serving people and you're trying to help them and they resonate with that, then they can connect with you. The business comes after that, you know. And for me, it's about relationships.
Lead with value and you'll never want for business, in my opinion.
Value and relationships always comes first.
Yeah. So I really, and again, relationship and value, I appreciate you coming on the show and having this chat with me. I really do appreciate it because I know you're busy, and you got lots of things going on. And I want to thank you for just coming and hanging out with me and letting the universe take us where it needed to go.
You froze.
Oh, how are we now? Oh, did we freeze? I think you froze. I froze, you froze. Somebody froze. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go. I was like, you froze on me there.
I was literally just saying thank you for taking the time to hang out with me. And if you have any final thoughts, you may say so, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, no, I greatly appreciate the opportunity and for you having me on there. I love what you're doing. But yeah, for anyone out there listening, my best advice for them is to take some time quiet and go within and find out if what you're doing is truly making you happy. Because if what you're doing every day is not lighting you up and you're not excited to do it, then you probably should rethink what you're doing. Deeply rethink it now. Deeply rethink it. Yeah.
Thank you, Laura.